Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us for our show again this week. We're always glad that there are people like you out there that are interested in what's happening in our cities. Because it is important for good government that you have people that are responding back and forth with the things that the city council and the city staff are doing. You need a good flow of information back and forth. So we're glad that you're interested. If you haven't watched our show before, every week we'll have somebody from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area talking about the current issues that are going on in that city. And we encourage you to take the time to write down the email and the phone numbers of the people in case you've got, it's an area that kind of resonates with you and you might have questions about it. Or that you might want to give comments. From time to time, we'll also have on groups that interact with all of our cities, like our legislators or the Northwest Hennepin Human Services Council. Tonight, we're going to be learning about the issues in the city of Osseo. And I'm very glad to welcome Duane Poppe back to our show.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, the mayor of Osseo.
Yes.
So we're glad that you're back on again and that you can kind of fill us in on some of the things that are happening in Osseo. Now, you already know that I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm Duane Poppe. I'm the mayor of the city of Osseo. Been in Osseo, the mayor is a 2-year term. So I was elected 2 years ago, just finishing up my first 2-year term, and then was fortunate enough to get reelected this past November. So I have another 2 years. And previous to that, I was on the city council for 3 years. So I've been in the Osseo city government now 5 years. We've lived in Osseo this 15 years. We'll have lived there.
Yeah, and, quite a while.
So it's my wife and I, and then we have 3 children. 12. 10 and 7, so they keep us active between their activities and of course work and then their sports and city government. So yeah.
Because you've got some major street projects going. Maybe you can talk a little bit about condition of the streets in Osseo.
Yeah, we got our streets have been in disrepair for quite some time. If you look at you had Central Avenue done, that was 7 years ago, and then you had we did 4th Street 2 years ago, and now we're doing 1st and 4th this year. But and those are coincided with utility projects. And prior to that, just any kind of mill overlay, any really street repair was the early 90s.
That's a while back,
because it was always there was no money there. They couldn't figure out how to do it. I mean, it was just all these things. So our streets, they've spray patched them and done some seal coating, but I mean they're way beyond where they need to be, and to provide quality roadways. So it's been an issue we've tried to figure out, for quite some time.
Well, and last year was terrible on everybody's streets, I think.
Yes.
Now you talked about doing a mill and overlay project. Maybe you can explain to people what that is and why you selected this option, because you're going to do several streets. That will be planned for like when the weather breaks next year, right?
We're going out to bid on those. We talked about those just last council meeting. And the mill and overlay, what it is you've probably seen it all around, where they come with the machines and they grind up the bituminous, the blacktop on top, but you leave the base underneath it, and then they come and then they put new blacktop on top of that. It's probably 3 inches probably thick, on top of that, and then they roll it. But you're still keeping the road bed, the curb and gutter, everything is still in place. And what that does is it just extends the roadways, longer, because over time, I mean the road bed and everything degradates to the point where it just needs to be totally reconstructed, and that's digging up the aggregate base, digging up the curb, the gutter. I mean
everything goes.
Yeah, everything. So, we've been. That's one thing that we've been very conscious on, is trying to make good decisions long term. and not just spot fix things or make a quick decision without any kind of forethought what it means downstream. You know, I mean, that was kind of evident with last year. We did a alley project, and we went through the process of, do we make the alley cement or do we make bituminous? And we said, you know, over a 20-year lifespan, concrete may cost a little more up front. It's going to last longer. It's going to be cheaper to maintain. So over a longer period of time, it's a cheaper solution. You know, so that's kind of with these streets. You know, we've done, we've had different pavement management studies done, thickness and conditions and things like that. And you know, we looked at a plan. Do we do, you know, because in our long-term comprehensive plan, we had an alley and a street project every other year to be able to kind of make the numbers all make sense. And but we just decided we can't, for how bad the roads are, how long before, if we take as long as our original plan was to hit them all, they would be way past their useful life, and there would be a lot more reconstructs than there would be for mill and overlays.
So and unhappy people, right?
Yes, we hear about that quite often. You know, so then we're going to be able to next year. You know, we decided, you know, we're going to figure out a way that we can do, and we're going to do. It's going to be over half the city. To get mill and overlaid.
Oh, that's a significant job.
And along with that will be new pedestrian curb ramps for the handicap, some spot repair. So I mean, it's a major project, you know, and you know, talking with our engineer, it's probably start to finish. It's probably 10 weeks. That I mean, it won't be in one particular block, but by the time they get through it, they'll be in the city probably 10 to 12 weeks. So almost the entire summer, there's going to be some sort of
construction going on.
Yeah,
but then people will be happy afterwards.
We hope.
Yeah. And then mention a little bit, because we were talking earlier, that some of this has gotten slowed up because there was a problem with getting enough concrete.
Yeah, we ran into that this year with our sanitary sewer reconstruct, with the curb and the gutter with that one, and our police station. You know, that was an issue that there was just a shortage of concrete. You know, it was kind of the perfect storm of a couple of different issues with, you know, just the amount of fly ash that was coming into town. It was the floods in the spring. Enough didn't come on the barges. Enough didn't come on the rails because of the oil. You know, in the stadium sucking up as much as they can. You know, so I mean, it was kind of the perfect storm where, I mean, you talk to developers and construction people across the city, and they said, you just get your concrete when they say you're going to get your concrete. And it was just a matter of, you know, the bigger jobs always seem to get their concrete than our little small jobs in town did. So,
and all of our cities have recently finalized the budgets for next year, for 2015.
Yep.
And I know Osseo is another one. Maybe you can kind of summarize a little bit about the city budget. Give us an overview about the budget for next year.
Yeah, the budget, you know, that's one area that, you know, we've taken a lot of special interest in. You know, we've you know, a couple of years ago, I mean, we've tore that budget apart and rebuilt it a number of times, and, you know, really trying to figure out how we can deliver, you know, high value services to our you know, clients or our citizens, but still in the most cost effective manner. You know, so I mean, we've really kind of pared down the budget. I mean, we've run pretty lean, you know, over the last few years, and you know, it's all worked out well. We've actually been able to run the city under our budget, so you know, and then actually have had more revenues than have been expected. So I mean, we've been able to kind of stabilize the city. I mean, we've brought our general fund up from, I want to say it was in the 25% of our budget. I mean, our annual budget, you know, we're at about 55 now. So we've been able to put more money, build more reserves. You know, we've been, you know, pretty diligent on every aspect of it. I think really how the thing that really shows what we've done with the budget. Originally, Standards and Poor's is a rating agency that rates bonds, whether it be corporate bonds, municipal bonds, the city bonds, stuff. They're a bond rating agency. And originally, when I was kind of there initially, we were an A rating.
Okay.
Which you think is all right, but it goes A, double A, triple A. So we went from an A, and our last bond rating we just got done from Standards and Poor's. They rated us a double A minus. So we've gone up 2.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a significant move.
Oh, definitely.
So because you're reading the report about the way we've run the city, our fiscal responsibility, our retiring of our debt. I mean, there's a bunch of things that have really kind of played into that.
Sure.
So kind of looking at our budget again this year, we again, we figured out, where are we at, what can we afford, and it ended up, our budget's going to be up if you look at the expenditures of the budget.
Okay.
The general operations of the city and kind of everything involved, the total budget is up about 8%.
Okay.
But if you look at that, the general government day-to-day operations is up about 2% only. We've got about 3% that an increase going to our capital improvement plans. So we're putting more money away for the future. We've got a little bit. It's about just under 3% for the payment for the new police station. And then we're putting more away for adult and kids programs. We started there's a lot of senior programs we started, like aerobics and yoga and things like that. And we're looking at some other things. So if you look at the budget itself, will be up about 8%, but then you look at, we're able to retire some TIF districts. So we put that revenue back online.
Yeah.
And in actuality, what it does is then our budget will only be up maybe 2%. It's all after it's all said and done. And what that then, we've got a kind of a little game going on right now is, our if you had the value of your home was the same this year as last year, your taxes would be less just because of what we've done and be able to retire districts.
So what kind of response did you get from citizens when you had your budget hearing?
Well, it wasn't very favorable, let me tell you. But there again, I mean, it's one of those things that when I got my property tax statement, I mean, I've been through the budget. I looked at it and I'm like, this makes no sense. Yeah. You look at it. I mean, it's anywhere from some people it was 20 to 30% up, and it was like, how can this be? And I'm like, I did the budget. I know it's not that much. So then you kind of look at it, and a lot of it was the home values of Osseo have gone up so much, and everyone who came up there and expressed their concern of the increase. After we went through it, we said, well, how much did your house go up? And it was basically the same amount of what that went up. Plus there was some some of the other entities that the taxing. But I think you just look, and we told people, we said, really from a city's perspective, all you can ask from your city is to try to keep your budget flat, down, or a little up. I mean, you all they can control is what they can control. I mean, there's other entities that have the part of it too that, I mean, we have no control over.
Okay, yeah, because I think it's important for people to know when they get the property taxes, they're going to look at the end result, but that it doesn't all go to the cities.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you take it, for Osseo, for instance. I mean, we have. You have your city tax, but then you have the school district, and you have the county tax on there. And if you look at your total tax bill, I think in Osseo, I mean, we're less than a third of that bill. So I mean, 2/3 of that bill is beyond anything the city has any control over. And then with us in Osseo too, we have Hennepin County as our assessor. So we don't have a city assessor. So Hennepin County puts the values on the people's homes. May they have They have, you know, if you want to appeal your property taxes,
right.
you know, they come to City Hall and they sit down there, and, you know, if you want to show up and, you know, dispute, you know, your value of your home.
That's the time to do it.
That's the time to do it. But I mean, at this point, I mean, we have no control over that.
And ultimately, people want to know that you're spending the money well, right?
Yep. You know, and you look at, you know, that's one thing that, you know, we really pointed out on our budget. And one thing that we've really, you know, as we talked about earlier, is kind of look at the future and the long-term effect of things, and really try to plan for that future.
Right.
Because if you look at, you know, our budget, and we said, well, from our budget, what was being set aside for capital, you know, 5 years ago to now.
Well, no, a new hockey rink is going to go into Osseo, and maybe you can say where, and it's a private enterprise, right?
Correct.
And you were describing it to me a little bit beforehand, but first tell the type of rink it's going to be, and then we'll say where and how.
Yeah, no, it's a 3-on-3 hockey rink. You're starting to see a number of these crop up around the Twin Cities.
Okay.
You know, I think there's one in St. Louis Park, there's one down in Eden Prairie, there's one in like Burnsville, there's one in Stillwater, and really kind of this northwest. And you know, there's one that's talking about opening up in Otsego.
Oh, okay.
You know, up by the Target up there. But what it is, it's a 3-on-3 rink, they call it. And what it is, it's a lot smaller. A normal hockey rink is roughly 85 feet by 200 feet. And these rinks this one will be like 55 by 130. Okay. So it's going to be narrower and shorter. And what it is, it's, you know, kids go out there and, you know, leagues. My son's been in a number of them, so I've been
You've got experience,
many times at the rink. Yes, you have a goalie and then 3 skaters. There's no offsides. Really, what it does is it forces kids to go play shinny hockey like we did as kids, to go out and just pick up a puck and go to the local outdoor rink and just skate. And it helps develop creativity. It's more puck touches. I mean, they work on their stick handling, their skating, their positioning. The game's quicker rather than a full sheet where, you know, everything kind of slows down and there's not as much passing and things. So I mean, it's a great environment for teaching. And then they'll also have a training component up there, like a training area also, where they'll teach stick handling and shooting. And you know, I think they'll have some weights and some other things to do some other sort of hockey training.
So it's more of a teaching thing than a game would be?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like individuals instead of teams?
No, I mean, there's individual training, but I mean, the 3-on-3 games. I mean,
so there'll be that'll be team.
Yeah. Okay. You know, so I mean, you'll have a team of 12 kids. You'll just run 4 lines through, and you typically in a 3-on-3 game you have 2 halves. Okay. You don't have 3 periods like in hockey. You have 2 halves, and I mean, scores in 3-on-3 games are 23 to 28. I mean, there's really no stoppage of play. You score a goal, you have to regroup at the red line and come back in, and the kids take the puck out. Penalties, you just blow it, drop it. It's kid skates in as soon as he hits the line, then the other kids go. So I mean, it's a really fast-paced game.
So they get a lot more experience.
Yeah, there's more puck touches.
More things are happening during that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, develop your hands, your vision for kind of seeing through the crowd. And then eventually then what it does is it helps, once you get to the full-size sheet, it helps the game slow down. Because I mean, things take a little longer, and you have a little more time to react to things. So just in the player's perspective, the game slows down for them.
So like what ages of players
they'll go from the mites, which are the littlest kids, that's 3-4 year olds, all the way up to they have adult leagues at a lot of these 3-on-3 rinks. It's just another one of these venues in the city of Osseo where it helps bring people to the city, help them experience all the great things we have, and then also it's just another family activity, bringing more families into town, that the kids can do, and then like a lot of the other things that we're trying to bring to the city. I mean, we've got and try to different things that appeal to all different age groups, from the seniors all the way down to little kids, and we continue to expand on that, and other programs.
Well, and that's what attracts people to move to a city, right?
Yeah, as you know, having kind of the life cycle of family activities.
Right, right.
You know, from the basic parks to other all the way up to the hockey rinks or the gun ranges, if that's what you want to do, or
Right.
so give a variety of options for people. To the yoga classes and the chair aerobics and things that we do at the community center. So just trying to provide as much as we can to
Right.
The broadest people, and again in the most cost-effective manner.
Now, this is going to be built in Osseo. Now we'll talk about where it's going to go in and
Yep.
kind of the behind-the-scenes work that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's going in. It used to be the old dance studio
Okay.
out on 81, right next to Custom Industrial Ceramics out there on, south of across the street from the Legion.
Right.
Just down from Lynn's, kind of that block. And before that, it was, I don't know, Blackwater Choppers, and then something else. I mean, it's been a number of things. So, I mean, it was a building that's been sitting there for a while, So, and there's a couple of guys I knew through the Hockey Association, and they were out looking around, and, we had a conversation about it. And, so they're really hoping to, there's obviously some construction that needs to be done on the inside, but, they really hope to be open, come April. So again, it's going to be a great asset, and I mean, a couple of good guys.
Right.
So.
And then that's a private enterprise.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, there's really no city involvement in that, other than obviously approvals.
Oh, right.
Right. But what was nice is that site has some challenges with the parking.
Okay.
Because in the front, and it was kind of really mirrored well is when the expansion was going on next door. They had conversations with them, and when he poured his curbing, they poured a curb cut where then they expanded his curb, and then they put in parking along the side of their building.
Okay.
While he was doing it.
Right.
So, I mean, it allowed them to have more parking, and then they have a cross easement. So, I mean, everything just kind of fell into place in that one, that you got a business expanding and the new business coming in that needed parking, and, I mean, everything. And then, they have a good relationship where then they can, provide additional parking after hours, if it does get, busy enough. But most of the time it's multiple kids come in one car, or the people drop them off.
Right. So would kids that are going and with teams there be in other teams too at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a multiple experience for the hockey players.
Yeah.
Now, an area that we're always telling people out there is to get more involved in your city. It's good for people and good for the city, and it makes for a creative, healthy environment for our cities. So I thought maybe we could spend a little time talking about what are some of the ways people might get involved. Maybe we've got somebody watching tonight that's been thinking, oh, maybe I've got a little time, maybe I should do more. Maybe we can give them some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I know in the city of Osseo we've got a number of openings. On planning commission, there's some openings. In a lot of different committees. We're always looking for people, to be involved. And I really think, if you check the website and, inquire at City Hall, I mean, there's a list. I mean, I just read a list of all these different openings from heritage preservation to, to the planning commission to, a bunch of other ones that are just looking for people. Some of these never get filled.
Oh, okay.
That they just kind of stay open because there's, nobody's stepped up to them. And I just really think the more people and the broader perspective that people bring to a situation,
right.
I think ultimately, a better decision is formed out of it, rather than, having kind of a myopic, singular focus of, just a few different groups.
Right.
And I think the more robust it is, and, you're not always going to agree on everything.
Right.
And, you may have your differences, but ultimately, the better decision lies somewhere in the middle.
Oh,
So I mean, we always encourage as many people as you can to get out and get involved. And,
okay, so what commissions does Osseo have that people could look into?
Well, there's a whole long list of them. I mean, like I said, from heritage preservation to cable commissions to.
Okay.
I mean, there's a litany of them, and we're going to go through now our beginning of the year, we'll do council appointments to a lot of those, but there's also a citizen component that, like I said, a lot of times it just goes unfilled. So
And
just don't have interest.
where can people find out information about
I
these
would say the
groups?
best thing is, contact City Hall.
Okay.
And, and then they'll have the full list out there, and then, in the last council packet, there will be probably this council packet coming up next week. There will be I'll read a list off again at the end of the council meeting, but, that's published. I'm assuming it's probably on the website.
Okay.
But I think, the easiest thing is call City Hall and
Okay.
say, I have an interest in being involved. What is there?
Right.
I know they look for people to help out in the community center.
Oh, yeah, because there's long-term and short-term
Yeah.
involvement opportunities within
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah, I think it's just, I know they have kind of keep a roster of names of people that want to be involved. And, like you said, if short-term situations or if, they want to have a longer-term view, just, get involved. That's the biggest thing.
And with the various commissions, people could go actually visit those meetings and kind of get a feeling for, is this a place they want to get in?
Yeah.
Partake it.
Yep. Yeah, come to a meeting, watch a meeting, view it online, come to a commission meeting if you want, sit in the back.
Right.
It's all open to the public, so we have no secrets.
No. But it is important for a city, and I'm sure you have many good volunteers that help keep your city running right now.
Yep. Yeah. And that's across from, Public Works, the police, the fire. They, the additional volunteer hours they put in are, we just had our mini dazzle. That's a big, huge production, in the city of Osseo. You have all the, the fire departments with their trucks and, Santa, we've got, the police and kind of everything they do, the Public Works, we have the big bonfire, the council, we handed out hot dogs, and hot chocolate and cookies and you've got the carolers from the high school, you had the Honor Society that did a lot of pickups. So, it was a really big community event that, took a lot of different volunteers from a whole lot of different organizations to really pull it off. And I think, that's ultimately what needs to happen nowadays because, not one entity or one service group or club or, city has the unlimited resources to pull all this stuff together. And it really takes, that collective effort of everybody, to pull off something, as kind of fun as that and really, something significant.
So contact City Hall, then you must have an application people fill out.
Yep. Yeah, and most of it is typically a letter, addressed to the mayor, to me, and say, I have an interest on this committee, and that's about it. It can be handwritten. It can be typed. It can be. It doesn't have to be fancy by any means.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and your ideas with us. It helps people to learn what's happening in other cities, but particularly for Osseo, if anybody has a particular interest in any of the topics we talked about, I'm sure you'll be happy to have them contact you either by email or phone, right?
Yep, it's on the website.
We'll encourage them to do that. We're glad that you've been with us, and we'll be looking forward to you rejoining us. And